What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the No Gimmicks podcast here on the DFPN. I am your co host, Mr. Black Mac. With me is the fabulous Frankie D. We got a good show for him lined out tonight, man. Got a good show lined up for him. So,
Yeah, I think they are gonna like tonight's show. They're gonna like the
yeah,
topics.
yeah.
So yes,
So,
yes, sir.
So we got a great show lined up. Before we get into that, let's shout out our sponsor. Go to www.gettheplugs.com. Enter in DFPN10. I will not botch that much tonight. I promise. Go enter in code DFPN10 for a 10% discount. Shout out to the Bandcamp. Go to datfeeling.bandcamp.com. We got some good music coming. E. Smitty has been dropping a lot of new music, so go check that out. Hit the Patreon. We have been active on the Patreon, so go to patreon.com/thatfeelingpodcast. You'll get all these episodes ad-free. We will try to do a no gimmicks episode. I do want to incorporate a giveaway in that episode as well. So if you're not on Patreon, go to Patreon, sign up for as little as $3, and you'll be entered into all the action. We do have some merch available at Teespring. Like I mentioned last episode, we do now have a No Gimmicks jersey in the Teespring. So go cop that and go to teespring.com, enter in that Feeling Podcast in the search bar. You'll be able to find all the stuff that we have. Now, we got the pleasantries out the way. Fabulous Frankie D.
Mr. Black Mac.
Dynamite, I just finished watching it. I wasn't able to watch it last night, so I watched it
Right.
tonight.
Yes, sir.
They had a very, very big surprise that didn't really go over well with the local audience, but it seems that AEW is expanding its reach into India.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I know what you're talking about. I saw it last night. Me and the wife were watching it, and we said, "Who is this big son of a bitch?" You know, this fucker was huge, right?
Massive.
And you're hearing today the reason behind this is simply because Tony Khan in AEW, they're going to be expanding into the Indian market. They're going to go to India. You know, India has 1 billion people. So why
Right.
not expand over there and make that money? WWE is doing business in the Middle East as well. So why not hop on the train and do some stuff? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's basically all about making money. And that's what Tony Khan's going to do. But also because they are part of the Warner Brothers Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the initiatives is to expand into India. So Tony Khan presented that last night on Dynamite, but in actuality, though, bro, it did not go over well with the live audience that was there, and it definitely didn't go over well with the viewers on television, as you saw
Right.
in the ratings.
Right.
So I think the mistake that they made here is that they do these things, and there's no proper build-up, no proper storytelling here. It's just, hey, we're going to put somebody out here, and it just didn't work.
Right. Now, to their credit, I think the guy that they debuted may have been a massive star in India, which
Correct.
it probably wouldn't have went over well here in the States and to the viewers in the States, but in India that shit probably was a massive pop because now you have another wrestling company showcasing Indian wrestlers. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think it'd be a very fair assessment. And on top of that, I think the guy is actually more athletic than the Great Khali.
So from what I'm hearing, he was a basketball player.
Correct.
Which would mean there's a level of athleticism there.
Yeah. Drafted. If I read correctly, drafted to the NBA back in 2015.
Correct.
So I mean, he's a giant, man. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You know, he's a giant, and it's like, you know, that's one of the rarities that you don't really see in professional wrestling today or sports entertainment.
Right.
WWE has Omos, but AEW didn't really have that. AEW had had Paul White, but Paul White is past his prime.
Right.
So you bring in this dude here, and you're also going into another market, which is going to be huge for AEW. We didn't mention on the last show about how AEW, is going to be streaming for the Japanese consumers on New Japan World. So
Right.
they're making big moves, they're
Right.
making big waves, but it's just the timing of it was all wrong. I felt that they could have saved
Right.
that for a pay-per-view or something like that, but I understand that Tony Khan wanted to put it out there. That's one of the initiatives from Warner Bros. Discovery right now.
Yeah, I get that, and that is a huge move. So we do have something later in the show for that. So I want to save what I think is going to happen. But yeah, them doing that, there it seems like the more they move and try to get their reach out there, the more stars that they'll try to bring in from these types of areas. That's why you see a Minoru Suzuki holding the Ring of Honor World Championship minus last night because he dropped it to Joe. But that's
Right.
why you see these types of things, because it gives these companies that confidence to say, hey, he's promoting our guys. He's letting our guys hold these types of championships. He's giving them star power over here. They're more willing to work with AEW, and you have guys like FTR promoting the AAA championship, right? So you have these types of moves being made, and at the end of the day, so last night, as much talk as everybody said about last night, I really wasn't mad at it because I'm like, this guy's Indian. He's probably a massive star over in India. It didn't go over well, but I don't know. A large chunk of me is very forgiving when it comes to AEW because they're still young. Uh, they haven't been around that long. A lot of me is still forgiving of it. Like the death match that they had with Moxley and Omega, right? The shit didn't go off in the ring like it was supposed to. It was a complete dud. I forgave it. You know what I mean? So in these types of situations, I'm like, okay, this didn't go well, but I'm not going to be that critical of it. And I don't know. I keep telling myself, like, hey, there's going to come a point in time where I'm going to start being critical of AEW, and that hasn't happened yet. Like, I'm like, there's only so much my patience will go, but it hasn't happened yet. But
yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say really pissed me off with the show last night was I felt the wrong team went over in the tag team championship match.
you
I think
thought,
that it was time Red Dragon would take it,
yeah,
and then we get the Red Dragon versus
FTR.
FTR feud, and that could be something that could very well be something that they fight over. Not so much the AEW tag belts, but they could fight over the ROH belts. But I thought it would have meant more for Red Dragon to get those championship belts, and then at a pay-per-view or something, drop them to FTR, and FTR holds all the belts. I think that would be tag team supremacy. So I didn't really care for that very much. What else happened on the show last night? Where were the Hardy Boys last night?
They were in a banger the week before, right?
Yeah,
They were in
I
a
think they were.
banger. Yeah.
So the Hardy Boys weren't on the show.
Yeah,
CM Punk and Penta had a pretty good match.
that was a great match.
I'm kind of mixed on the Samoa Joe Minoru Suzuki match. It was a lot of chopping going on there, and it wasn't really. I mean, it was pretty much a strong style match, but is that strong style match gonna cater to the casuals that don't watch your show on a weekly basis? I mean, you're trying to branch out there to a whole different audience, and it's like, I mean, what I'm saying is, your casuals that are going to AEW that are not watching New Japan Pro Wrestling, that have
Right.
no idea about Ring of Honor, are
Right.
they actually interested in seeing Minoru Suzuki?
No, I think Monaro is more so for the hardcore fan.
Right,
Like, you wouldn't know if you're not a hardcore fan. You're not really gonna know who Monaro Suzuki is, and you're not
right,
gonna understand his style of wrestling, right?
right.
And that may cause you to be bored with the product. no matter what him and Samoa Joe are doing. But if you're a hardcore fan, that match was fucking awesome.
Oh no!
Because,
I mean,
yeah,
dude looked like. I mean, Samoa Joe looked like hamburger when it was done. You know
yes,
what I mean? It
yes,
was just that bad. But I just felt that the. I mean, I guess they're gonna have Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and this guy as a stable moving forward. And AEW is just full of stables. You remember what AEW reminds me of. Do you remember back in the day in the WWF during 1997, they had gang wars? Like WWF had all these stables. They had Los
mm-hmm,
Maricuas, they
mm-hmm.
had the Nation, they had the DOA, they had DX, they had the Heart
Right,
Foundation. They got all these different groups, and it's like right now they got so many groups, but there's no direction. The only group
right,
out there that the only entertaining faction I would say that they have right now on the show are going to be the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club. Those are the only two factions I see doing anything. I mean, I want to see what they're going to do with the House of Black.
yeah,
I want to see what they're going to do with those dudes there because obviously Julia Hart is going to turn.
right.
They're not saying anything about that. But if you've been looking at Julia Hart and her transformation and her eye,
It's slow
what's
but
going on
sure. Yeah,
under
yeah,
that eye, you can see something's going on there, but they're not talking about that.
right.
And I'm like, I would think, man, like I told you before months ago on this podcast, you got Jake Roberts back there.
Mm-hmm.
Let Jake Roberts be the mouthpiece for Brian Pillman Jr. and let him run wild out
Yep.
there and just let him be a lunatic. But once again, they're just not doing it. And I'm sorry, bro, but I am not at all wanting to see Nyla Rose versus Thunder Rosa. I think with all the females they got there, you can be pushing somebody else. Sorry, dude. There's a grown every audience, every state they go to, every time Nyla Rose comes on that screen, it's a groan from the audience. You hear it. You cannot deny it. Okay.
Hey, listen, man. If they gonna push Nyla, I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at it. You know what I mean? I really won't. I really won't be mad at them pushing Nyla. The thing is, outside of Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa and maybe Jade Cargill, you have a lot of work to push these women. You know, you have a lot of work because not a lot of them are ready to be champion.
Tony Storm could be a champion.
Tony Storm just got there.
But
So now you're going to put yourself in a situation
what
where
about
she's
Ruby Soho?
same situation, right? So
They've been there, but they keep going back to Nyla Rose. And what I'm getting
why?
by
Why
that
is
is that
that? Why is
why
that?
is that?
Why
I
is
don't
that?
know. I don't know.
You
I
look
think what
at
it
all of your
is.
champions. Look at all of your AEW champions. Name them. Name all of your AEW champions
As far as
outside of Thunder Rosa.
what you're talking about talking about as far as the all the champions of the company or
All the champions, all the AEW champions. Your world heavyweight champion, Hangman Adam Page, right?
right?
Your TNT champion is
Scorpio Sky.
Scorpio Sky. Your tag team champions,
I get what your point is, dude. They're all AEW
they're
originals.
all AEW originals, right?
I get that.
Outside of Thunder Rosa. So if they push a Nyla Rose, I will not be mad at that.
But
Even
how
though
many times have they pushed a Nyla Rose and has never gotten over?
she probably won't. But the point is, they're pushing all AEW originals as their champions. So outside of Britt Baker, who's been the champion, right? Jay Cargill's been pseudo day one. She's an original if you really want to count her. Like who else as an AEW original? Hikaru Shida's already been champion for a long run. Britt Baker was a champion for a long run. They're AEW originals. What AEW original woman can you have holding the title outside of
I
these people?
I think that I mean I think Serena Deeb will be a good women's champion.
I think she would too. Honestly, I think she's
I mean,
really. I think Serena Deeb could carry that division.
she sure could.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think she. I think she could.
Serena Deeb was there. You got all the other females that you don't see, like the Abadons that are out there.
I would. I would make a great case for Abaddon.
Yeah. I've seen her and I've seen her in her work. She could go out there, she could go. And she has a very
Yeah,
unique look and a very unique gimmick that nobody else is doing right now in sports entertainment. So that's
she
something
is
they can look
like
at.
she is like the female version of the Fiend to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would dare say, honestly, she's a lot darker than the Fiend.
I would say that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
She's a hell of a lot darker than the Fiend.
Yeah,
And she takes her gimmick very, very seriously.
very well. Yeah, she takes it seriously and she executes it very well.
Absolutely. So I just think that Tony's, making a lot of mistakes as far as it goes with his champions, and he pushing the wrong people. And I think that Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus should have dropped those belts last night. I honestly think that's what should have happened. Not
I
happy
get
with the
it.
result of that.
I
Not
get
happy with
it.
the result of that.
Yeah, I get it.
Especially for a more seasoned veteran tag team like Red Dragon. I mean, honestly, dude, every time Luchasaurus is out there, I'm just waiting for the botch. Seriously, I'm scared to death when he's out there because he's doing shit that he shouldn't be doing at his size. You're a big man. You should work like a big man.
Does
You
that
never.
not work for you? That he
What's
doesn't
that?
work like a does he? Does that not work for you? That he doesn't work like a big man?
I don't think that in the long run and the longevity of his character, it's he's working wrong, man.
I
You can
don't
clearly
think. I
see,
don't.
you
I
can
think
clearly see a guy like him. You never saw, Kevin Nash or Taker or Sid Vicious or any of these bigger guys working Lucha style that size. No, Taker would do stuff,
that's what makes him unique, though.
but that's not unique, bro. You look stupid with the fucking mask.
Hey, if it works for him,
The last monster in this business that was a big guy, that was a monster, that worked like a monster, was Abyss in TNA.
hey, if his
And
gimmick
we're going to
works for
talk about
him,
TNA. We're
we
going to talk
will.
about TNA
We
too.
will.
Because
But
I've been watching that Impact. You people out there, you're sleeping on Impact Plus. All right, you're sleeping on that shit. I've been watching Impact for the last day, watching all the old episodes back when they were on FSN. And I was like a kid in the cane. So I remember back in the day what I was doing at this time when this was going down.
that's a
20
perfect
years old,
that's a
20-year
perfect
old
segue.
with this girl over here, and just, I remember everything. Just reminiscing, baby.
It's a perfect segue. So, do you think AEW has reached the level of the
No,
TNA?
absolutely
Why
not.
not? Why not?
Because the ratings show it. In TNA's highest ratings, they were doing 1.4 million viewers each week on their show.
Okay.
AEW can't break a million.
Okay.
So they have not reached the levels yet. When people always want to compare AEW to WCW. No, you're not even on that level. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? You have to look at what came before you. AEW is pretty much, and it's still in its infancy, but they haven't even reached TNA levels yet, because you can't sustain 1 million people every week. You were barely beating WWE's minor league show. So how can you dare compare yourself to say that you're WCW, or you're in the same league or category as WCW, when in 1996 WCW, with Eric Bischoff as the president of the company and Ted Turner and Time Warner as the backers, were killing the WWF. They were beating them to the point they couldn't even afford fucking water at Titan Towers. They were removing the water machines.
Okay.
So you fast forward this to TNA, and look at all the TNA guys that were at the company at the time. AJ Styles was there. Okay, Samoa Joe was there. Christopher Daniels was there. America's Most Wanted. The Alpha Male Monty Brown. You know what I'm saying? Abyss, Ravens, Rhino, Jerry Lynn, X-Pac, Hall, Nash, all these different people, DDP, all these different guys that were at TNA. They were doing, under the guise of Vince Russo, by the way, they were doing 1.4 million people every single week on Spike TV.
Mm.
AEW on a bigger network, AEW on a bigger network can't break a million every week. Why is that?
All right.
Let me
So
hear you. Oh, come on. Let me hear you.
so let's go back, right? Because people like to compare. I'm going to compare them to the WCW. I'm going to do this.
What year of WCW?
I'm going to tell you around 1990, 89, 90, right? WCW was still a growing company, right? They had WCW Saturday night on TNT at 6:05. I know because I used to
TBS.
watch it. On TBS, sorry. I know because I used to watch it. They had Saturday night. They were down in Florida. They had a nice little setup, moderate crowd, but the crowd was engaged. Right? They grew from that.
You're missing the time. You're missing it up. So 89, 89, 90, WCW Saturday Night was still at center stage in Atlanta. That's where they were at.
Right. You're right.
What you're
You're right.
referring to is you're referring to when 1994 came and they
And
started
they
taping
moved.
at Universal
Right.
and
They
then Disney.
moved. Right.
Correct.
Right. So they grew from that to eventually selling out stadiums or selling out arenas, right?
Mm-hmm.
AEW is kind of in this stage to where they're small time, they're playing the smaller areas. They can sell decently in a large arena, right?
Absolutely.
They don't, right? They keep it
Absolutely.
small, they want to grow, but the crowd, if you go in the AEW event, the crowd is engaged, right? This is all I've heard. I'm gonna go tomorrow and I'm gonna watch it.
Right.
But from what I hear, the crowd is engaged the whole time, right? It translates well on television, as did WCW. Eventually, you will see an AEW versus WWE rating, right? When the time is right. It's not now, but they're making them steps just like WCW did. And eventually, they will have a star on the caliber of, say, like a Goldberg. They're already working towards that with Wardlow.
Mm.
They will have a star on that caliber that can carry that company into that next chapter.
I
They
look at
will be
Wardlow
there.
more. I look at Wardlow more of a Batista, to be honest.
I would say that too. I would say that too. Um,
But you're saying that eventually it's going to happen. But here's the reason why I'm telling you it won't.
why won't it?
Because okay, I'll tell you why. WWE has been in control for 20 something years since they
Yeah,
bought WCW. We've had alternatives that had come along, the Ring of Honors, the TNAs, and now the AEWs. AEW, when they started off, everybody wanted to try this new flavor of ice cream.
right.
They tried it. Okay, some of them liked it and some of them didn't. So what you have now is you have the diehards that are going to watch. You have the 900 something thousand people that are going to watch your show every week. Okay, the audience, even with all the big surprises, and I'm a big AEW fan. Okay,
Okay.
I support them. I go to their shows. I can tell you straight up because I'm a realist of this shit.
Right.
You have a situation here where you have brought in all these people and the ratings are not reflecting it. Your numbers aren't growing. Your audience isn't growing. You are stagnant. You have a swelled audience that's not going to go above 980,000 people. That's where you're at right now. WCW experienced growth because WCW acquired talent from WWF that actually mattered. Okay, you take the people that AEW have acquired, no knock against any of them, but they came from what is perceived as the minor league NXT.
I would
They
take
didn't
that all
have
day.
they did not have the buzz of Hall or Nash when they came over there. You
Yes.
don't have you don't have an AEW right now. You know who is the Hulk Hogan of AEW, maybe Chris Jericho.
Maybe.
He's the biggest star they have. You don't have these different mega stars in AEW that you had in WCW at the time. You don't have the structure that WCW had in AEW. You got a bunch of people back there, but you got Tony Khan not listening to them and doing whatever he wants. And that's why the show is stuck where it's at, because it's not growing. Because he's looking at this shit as a fan. You can't look at this as a fan. You have to look at this as a business. This is nothing more than a billionaire's toy to play with. So he can do this. You see the dude hasn't really cut anybody from their contracts except maybe one or two people. He hasn't cut anybody. He hasn't trimmed the roster at all because he don't want to do that. He wants to be the nice guy and wants to keep them employed and blah, 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 blah. And I understand that's cool. But Vince doesn't do that. Vince doesn't think with his heart. Vince thinks with his brain. Vince goes in there and says, I don't need him. I don't need him. Fuck him. And you tried to get with my daughter and cross him out. So that's what Vince does. And that's what we're seeing right now with AEW. Vince let all these people go. Vince gave AEW a chance, right? He released all these different people. He gave them a fighting chance. And they still couldn't pull it off. You're still barely breaking even with $1 million. You can't go past $1 million. I want to see them do the TNA numbers. When they go to 1.4 million people every week on a bigger network by that bigger network being TBS or TNT, when TNA was on Spike, and Turner has always had more penetration than USA Network or Spike, then we can talk about it. But they haven't even reached that level yet. Oh, and by the way, Impact, they actually have a streaming service, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Now you may respond to that, Mr. Sir.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, you're under oath.
Fuck out of here. First and foremost, Nielsen is bullshit. I'm going to lead with that because this is going to lead me to where I'm going, right? Now, how many streaming services, whether it was a YouTube TV, a Hulu, I don't know, like some type of shit that you could watch live TV, Philo, all that shit. How much of that shit was around back then? None, right? It's more prevalent now. Nielsen's ratings don't really apply to these types of services anymore. They don't.
You can't use that as an excuse, man.
That is an excuse. You know why?
Use that as an excuse.
You know why that's
what you're saying is that most people aren't watching television anymore. You can't do that.
That's a fact.
AEW is getting paid $44 million a year on TV rights. So that's bullshit.
It's fine.
Bullshit.
It's fine. But they didn't have these types of deals. That's just a fact. They didn't have these types of deals in place back then. The only way you could catch it is by tuning into that fucking channel and watching that shit.
Can I say
way
something?
More people did it. No, you had your case. Let me make my case.
All right, Judge Judy. Make your case, sir.
But back to my point, you had way more of these distractions, I call them, in the way now. And Nielsen doesn't really apply to these types of services. If they do, it's very little. It's very little. And it's not on the scale that it is for actual television. Now, with that being said, fewer people are actually watching TV these days. Or they set it back and they DVR that shit. Nielsen doesn't fucking apply to a DVR because the average fan, like myself, can't watch that shit. They DVR it, right? And they really want to watch it. Playback doesn't.
Incorrect.
Playback does not. No, playback does not.
You ever heard of it? You ever heard? Where do you think SmackDown gets their ratings predicated from? They do it overnight. They're checking the overnight rating because they're going by people's watching the show later on.
You know why that is? Because they are a major syndicated network. They are a broadcast network. That's where Nielsen comes into play. It doesn't play with cable. It doesn't.
Okay.
Which
So let me let
AEW
me
is
let
on.
me let me put it to you like this. And I'm not disputing anything you're saying, but I'm gonna put it like this. If WWE or AEW or anybody had a show that was must see that people would be watching,
Oh, I
it
get
wouldn't
that.
matter. It wouldn't matter. Yeah, like you said, back in the day, yeah, Nitro was must see because of these three letters right here. You
Yeah.
damn sure better believe that we tuned in, or we tuned over to Raw because of Stone Cold Steve Austin. But what I'm
Right.
saying at this point is that everybody tuned in, over 2 million people tuned in to watch the Raw the day after WrestleMania to see Cody and to see what was going to happen, and then the audience once again fell off after that. So
Yeah.
my point
It's
is that
true.
have something that people want to watch, they're going to find the time to watch it live because that's a live
Exactly.
number that they get for Raw. AEW
Exactly.
doesn't have shit that people want to see.
That's
WWE
not
doesn't have
true.
shit that
That's
people
not
want to see.
true.
Oh, they do? Then tell me why the show did 977,000 viewers last night.
Dude, you acting like 970,000 is a small number. That is not a small number.
Oh, it is a small number compared when a company tries to compare themselves to World Championship Wrestling. Yes, it's a small number.
Now, wait, because I'm gonna go back to making my case. Right? Case in point, what happens when SmackDown goes to sci-fi? Their numbers are significantly smaller, right? And they have to rely on a playback on Fox, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Their numbers are significantly smaller. So they do an average of 2.1
SmackDown
million.
doesn't go. SmackDown doesn't go to Sci-Fi. They go to another Fox station. But go ahead.
Yeah, either or. But when they leave and they go to a cable network, they experience a significant loss of viewers. Right or wrong?
I'm not saying they don't,
Right. So
but I'm saying that it's not must-see television.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is you have a core base of fans, which if you take this number that they put on Fox, or you take the number that Raw draws from USA, right?
Mm.
That's their core. Their audience doesn't grow either. What I'm saying is you only worry when the numbers dip significantly and stay there. That's
Oh, I
the
don't
only
worry.
time you.
Oh,
That's
I
the
don't
only
worry
time
about
you
it.
need to worry.
I don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the only time you need to worry.
Yeah, well, I don't worry about it.
What?
Vince doesn't worry about it either, because Vince has got that TV rights contract, so he don't really give a shit at this point because it's guaranteed
Exactly.
money.
The ratings aren't there for the fan. The rating is there for the network. If you could consistently draw that number, the network's gonna fucking keep you there.
Well, let
Which
me ask you a question.
AEW is doing.
Let me ask you a question. So with the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, and they got a new woman that's going to be heading. She's going to be the head of TBS, and
Mhm.
TBS is going to be strictly ran off of her vision. What do you think the future landscape is for AEW? Do you think they're going to have to tone down on the blood? They're going to have to turn down on the swearing. They're going to have to turn on the hardcoreness. What do you think is happening with AEW? Because when a new regime comes in, they may not be so keen on what they're doing, and they may not be so keen on professional wrestling because that's always been a stigma at Turner.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I mean that's always a play that can happen, right? New regime change. The last time it happened, it didn't go well for WCW at all. That could very well be the case, or it could be the case of if that shit ain't broke, don't fucking fix it. Which if you're doing smart business, that should be the play. If you're not doing smart business and you just want to throw around your power, then shit's gonna change and it won't be good.
I agree. I agree. Although, like I'm saying, Tony Khan needs to cut down on the surprises and actually
I agree.
put in some thought on the storytelling. You got all these veterans back there. You got the Jerry Lynn's back there. You got the Dustin Rhodes back there. You got the Dean Malenko's back there. You got the Jake Roberts back there. You got William Regal back there. You got Arn Anderson back there. I mean, my God,
You have
the
great
legends you
minds
have.
under your
Use
umbrella.
them.
You do.
Stop thinking because what he does when he comes off of. I mean, the guy is out there with a conspiracy theory right now saying that bots are spreading anti, AEW rhetoric all over the internet. And so I'm starting to wonder, is the guy paranoid
He could
about
be.
things? Is he thick? Is he thin skinned? Because Bischoff
He
came out
could be.
and made comments about Tony Khan, and Tony Khan got upset about him. So I mean, is the guy really thin skinned like that? I mean,
He could be,
look at
man.
WWE. Look at how WWE right now is treating Cody right now. They're treating Cody like $1 million because that's their investment. They got a $3 million investment in Cody, and people were thinking that they got to bury Cody. Like if they bury Cody, it won't be until later in the year if that's what they decide to do. They're gonna get
Immediately
their
they won't
investment
bury
back.
him.
No,
Yeah, no.
they're gonna get their investment
Immediately,
back on
then,
Cody.
yeah.
Absolutely.
They're not going to bury him immediately.
And he might
That's
be the
just
one.
dumb.
He might be the one that's going to take down, Roman Reigns.
I don't agree with that, but I think that may happen. I don't like it at all, but I think that may happen.
Well, I don't like it either, but WWE kind of put themselves in this position by unifying the championships. Now, if there had been a situation where Roman was on SmackDown and they had somebody else holding the WWE Championship, say a Seth Rollins, and you have Cody go beat Seth, then Cody is the WWE Champion, the championship that his father never held. There's your story there. But they've painted themselves in a corner here by unifying the belts. Now they've pretty much fed everybody to Roman. There is nobody that's strong enough, that's over enough to beat Roman. Now we're talking about they want to unify the tag team championships. I think, and it goes in the topic I put in the group here, overexposure of the bloodline. The bloodline is everywhere. It's like you're tired of the bloodline now because everybody gets fed to the bloodline. And it's like these dudes, the only ones I remember having booking like this, dude, the only ones I remember having booking where they were just getting fed to everybody was the Road Warriors. Mm-hmm. When the Road Warriors were getting, everybody was getting fed to the Road Warriors. Mm-hmm. Or the NWO, when everybody was just getting stomped by the NWO. And I'm just sorry, they're not on that level.
I agree. So
I want to see something fresh, brother.
So in terms of the bloodline and in terms of their fall, I think the title being unified will lead to it. And it would also make sense to do it since I don't think Cody Rhodes holding the WWE title while the Universal title was active would have made sense in the long run. You have one belt, it covers the lineage, and Cody wins it. I think that's the only way that shit makes sense.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, definitely. Because the Universal Championship has not been around long enough as the WWE Championship.
Right.
And that's the one Cody's talking about. But like I said, They put themselves in a situation where they let Roman hold both belts. But now, okay, they got Nakamura possibly as a placeholder to feud with Roman. There's no stock. There's no stock in Nakamura. No, there's nothing there. No. No one wants to see that shit.
Not at all.
There's nobody there, and it's like, okay, the rumor has it they were going to put Seth Rollins, back in there with Roman, but the problem is that you keep flip flopping Seth Rollins to the point where, okay, is the guy a babyface or is he a heel?
Right.
Now they're going to do a rematch between him and Cody, which is cool. But I think honestly, dude, and this is just me, I think Cody is better suited as a heel. I think when he does eventually wrestle, if he does wrestle Roman, there needs to be a double turn in that situation. Because when I look at Cody Rhodes, this is just me, and this is how I would book this. When I look at Cody Rhodes, I see the most disingenuous asshole I've ever seen in my life. I see him out there as a guy that it's just all phony. It's all fake. His everything about him is fake. And beneath him is the American Nightmare. And he's holding it in. So what we did not see in AEW, he can do in WWE by winning the championship and then going super heel out there. And if you really want to get some heat, you really want to be a heel, you bring out your wife. You bring Brandy out there with you.
Oh, buddy, they gonna boo the shit out of you.
Exactly. So
They
that's
gonna
how you
boo
do it. But Cody,
the
he
shit out
comes
of you.
off. He's listed right now internally. He's listed as the number 2 babyface on Raw. Okay, AJ's number 3. I forget who's number 1. But you go right there and have Cody wrestle Roman and then have the double turn. Because at this point, the people don't really want to boo Roman Reigns.
No.
They like Roman Reigns. So
Right.
so Roman's earned their respect pretty much at this point. So they don't want to boo him anymore. And they really don't want to boo the Usos, to be honest. The Usos are heels by association.
Yep.
The Bloodline are better suited off to me as babyfaces. You take Paul Heyman, you flip Paul Heyman over with Cody Rhodes.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
That's what you do.
I like it.
Yeah, that's what I would do. You flip, you turn this whole thing around. You flip it because what else is there for Roman to do? He's done it all. And you got Cody Rhodes coming in. Cody Rhodes talking about, I got to do this for my father. I got to do this. I got to do that. Cody Rhodes literally has made a deal with the devil and Paul Heyman to get the championship that his daddy never got. And that's the WWE Unified World Championship. Heyman screws over Roman, sides with Cody, and then the era of the American Nightmare begins.
I like it.
The real Cody Rhodes comes out.
And you might make a shit ton of money doing that shit, bro. Like for real, for real. I like that. I like it a lot.
Well, I appreciate that.
That was a good pencil.
Came up with it right now.
That was a good pencil, brother. It's a good.
Thank you.
Pencil.
Shit, that's how you do it, man. When your creative juices are just flowing, you just you let it go. You let your emotions flow.
Oh, is that what that is?
Oh yeah, you turn the mix on.
All right, so let's go back to AEW real quick. What's Tony Khan's big announcement? What's Tony Khan's big announcement?
I think Tony Khan's big announcement is going to be either he's going to talk about the New Japan World, or he's going to talk about the possibility that AEW is going to be streaming on HBO Max. Got to do something with Or they could talk about they're launching their own streaming service, not necessarily HBO Max, but they're launching their own streaming service, and they're going to call it, All Elite of Honor or some shit.
Something, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's going to be any more acquisitions. Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Is or isn't Jay White a part of AEW?
Officially, no, because they never announced him as All Elite.
Well, so see what I mean?
No, but what my prediction is they're gonna announce a merger with them in New Japan. It just that's what I think the announcement's gonna be.
Can I ask you a question? Who needs who more at this point?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Shit. I would say honestly,
New Japan.
New Japan, yeah. I would say Absolutely. New Japan.
Yeah, just like New Japan needed WCW back in the day.
Yeah, I would say that.
But let me ask you, what do you think at this point? There's this little company down there, a little engine that could, and we were talking about them earlier, and they just keep chugging along, and they're just there. They will never go out of business. I'm talking about Impact.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think is wrong necessarily? I don't know if you've caught any of the shows. I caught a couple of the pay-per-views. What do you think is the big problem with Impact Wrestling? I kind of think the problem with Impact is the fact that it's not called TNA. I really think that's one of the big problems with it. It's a branding thing.
It could be.
Impact is just that has never, even when TNA had it and they were trying to call it TNA Impact Wrestling, that never got over. It never got over. When you think about the glory days of the promotion, you think about the TNA days. You think about 2002 to 2009 before Hogan and Bischoff got there.
Yeah.
So
it was the hottest thing smoking.
Absolutely. So I think that if I'm Anthem, I would be like, dude, let's just rebrand this shit back to TNA.
Do it.
Because people know TNA.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like, tits and ass as,
right.
They supposedly Russo had it. No, I'm talking about total nonstop action.
Yeah. TNA. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think also my second theory is that they're gonna announce a TV deal for Ring of Honor.
What network?
I would say TBS. And it would probably be on a Saturday night.
Could be.
If I had to,
I would. Or would you take Rampage? Would you take the AEW Rampage brand and make that the Ring of Honor show?
Ooh, no, because for as much as they have with Rampage, that 1 hour of television works for them, and I don't think they'll get rid of it.
I don't know. I just when I look at Rampage, I mean Rampage to me, it isn't even on the level of WCW Thunder. You know what I mean? I look at Rampage.
Dude,
did you
watch Rampage?
I have watched Rampage.
The last few Rampages have been fine.
The last few Rampages.
Yeah.
What about the few before that?
Dude, they had to pick up steam. Like it wasn't catching on early, but they got their footing.
You know the problem?
Rampage is a fucking great show.
You know the highest rated Rampage they've ever done is the one where CM Punk debuted.
The first one, first one.
The CM Punk debut is when Rampage had its highest rating, and they never got anything close to that ever again.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it took them.
And I think a lot of that is a time slot.
Yeah, it could be. Or they make Rampage a 2-hour show with a 1 hour Ring of Honor show.
Or the reason why the show is not really catching on that much is because it is a taped show.
Yeah, true.
The spoilers are out there. If I'm looking on the internet and I'm looking at the sport, that's one of the victims. SmackDown was a victim of that for years. It's like if I'm on the internet and I'm surfing around and I don't want to watch something, I can just go look at the spoilers. I don't have to watch the show, and that's kind of where they're at with with that. If I already know what's happening on Rampage, and I'm okay, well, I don't have to watch this shit. Because I know what's gonna happen.
Well, it happened last Friday, right? So the big news coming out of Wednesday wasn't even the FTR versus Young Bucks match. The biggest news coming out of Wednesday was, holy shit, Yuta and Moxley put on a fucking clinic.
Right.
And it's gonna be on Rampage. That was the biggest news coming out of Wednesday.
Right. And tomorrow night's Rampage is gonna be live at 7.
Yeah, it's live.
Yeah.
So no one knows what the fuck is going to happen, and I think it's going to be a banger. That arena they're doing is that bitch is fire. Like the crowd it's an intimate crowd. The arena gives off enough noise to where if something pops, then it's going to affect everybody else. I look for tomorrow night to be a great night.
You're going to be there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's your very first AEW show.
Yes.
Yeah, you should have fun.
I should.
Yeah, I've gone to 2 of them, and I've had fun in both of them.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be my first one, so really excited about that. Yeah. So, all right, let's transition to some throwback shit. Question of the day. Did Vince Russo kill WCW?
I put that, in the group, right? Because I was reading this shit. And it was comments that Russo made about Cody. And he said basically Cody is getting the initial pop right now, but in a few weeks, Cody won't matter anymore. He's just be another guy. He said it's the initial pop. That's what's going on right now because it's something new. And I agree with that. But then, of course, people got to come in. Well, he don't know what the hell he's talking about because he killed WCW and blah, 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 blah. So, once again, Vince Russo did not kill WCW. AOL Time Warner killed WCW. Okay, even when the WCW was beating the WWF, Turner's executives still didn't want WCW. They didn't give
No.
a shit if they were beating them. They didn't give a shit how much money the company was making. They never wanted it because they felt that wrestling was a bad image for Turner. So Vince Russo did not kill it. Did he help it? He tried to do something. He tried to push the young guys, but you got people in there, and that doesn't work for me, brother. People in there like that, okay, that would play their creative control card. But
Yep.
Russo had a lot of good ideas, but he had a lot of bad ones too. All right. And I've interviewed Vince Russo a couple of times. I thought I think Russo was cool as shit. But he did not kill WCW. Eric Bischoff did not kill WCW. WCW was on life support for the entire existence of the company. Even when they were beating Vince's ass, it was still on life support.
Had to
And people
recoup
don't
that money.
understand that. They don't understand that. It was always WCW was always going to go out of business, because especially once Ted Turner lost the power to control it, it was done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, one thing I will say with Tony Khan, that I will give Tony Khan credit for one thing. I do like his handling of Ring of Honor so far. I will
Oh
say that.
yeah, yeah.
He's doing a lot better than Vince did with WCW. Vince buying WCW was all, and Vince could deny all he wants. He has in the past. Vince McMahon buying WCW was all ego.
Oh, it was a power play for him.
Power play,
Yeah, it
ego.
was a power
He
play.
he knew he buried everybody he got from over there.
Yeah.
And Tony Khan's not doing that. Tony
No.
Khan's thinking of it. I bought this. I want to give it a go at it. I want to make some money with it. Get my
And you
investment
can
back.
tell he really wants to. He really wants to make it succeed. He
Right.
really does.
Yeah, he
By
wants to be better than the invasion angle.
yeah, by showcasing the champions on that show, uh, in events like Dynamite, there's going to be a world championship match for the Ring of Honor title tomorrow at
Right.
Battle of the Belts, featuring two Ring of Honor uh, talents, Jonathan Gresham and
Battle
Dalton
of the
Castle.
Belts. I think Battle of the Belts is Saturday, isn't it?
No, it's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Okay.
So, yeah, but with Dalton Castle and Jonathan Gresham, that's two Ring of Honor talents, and Dalton Castle is fucking over, bro.
Yeah.
He's fucking over. Like I low key, I want him to win that match, but I know he probably won't. But yeah, but stuff like that, showcasing the titles, the talent, and hopefully, what I think his announcement is going to be is putting them on television. I hope he does that because it'll give them shine and give them their own space and platform as
No,
well.
actually, Battle of the Belts is Saturday night.
Is it?
Yeah, Saturday night on TNT.
No,
So
they must be filming it tomorrow then.
they might
Because
film it tomorrow and play it on Saturday. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen.
yeah. So yeah. But yeah, just doing those things like that, you can tell he wants it to succeed. So
Right.
I give him props for that because that's a huge ass fucking undertaking.
I totally agree.
Like that's got to be some pressure. It's got to be some pressure involved just to do good and do right by them the way he's doing AEW. So
I agree. And hopefully he can make some money with it and bring back a lot of these guys. I mean, dude, honestly, he's got to somehow get the Briscoes on AEW TV.
he has to.
So
Like-
I don't know how they're going to end up doing it, but he's going to have to figure out some way. I mean, people saying we don't want them on the network because of shit that happened 13 years ago. Give me a break.
Man, there's no way you don't at least consider it when the FTR Briscoes match happened. There's no way you don't at least consider that.
Right, because there's money on the table there. You can
Yeah.
do the Briscoes
You can do
versus
business.
Young Bucks.
Yeah. There's
You know,
dream matches to be made, and right now,
absolutely.
tag team wrestling is on fucking fire.
Especially
So
in AEW.
yeah, especially in AEW.
Yeah.
Like tag team wrestling, like when's the last time we've really sat and talked about what tag team champions should be? You know what I mean? Like we're
It hasn't
actually
been.
legitimately cared about who won the fucking tag team championships.
It honestly, dude, it was in TNA.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're actually starting to care about tag team wrestling and who we want to be the champions, like that speaks volumes of what tag team wrestling is right now,
You know
especially in
who hates
AEW.
it? You know who hates tag team wrestling?
Vince.
Vince hates it.
Yeah, he hates it.
Man, I got to pay 2 of them.
Yeah, but
That's why he hates it.
shit. I mean, but even in WWE, like you have a nice stable of tag teams that you can make some legit matches. Like if I am Vince and I'm seeing what's happening with the tag team division, I probably want to get in on some of this money.
Vince is all ego, bro.
He is ego, but I mean, he's also a businessman, and if it's doing good business, he may consider it.
I've never known Vince to be that way. I've always known. I've just known of a guy that puts he comes out there and says, "I'm going to put business first before my ego," but you put your ego before business. And I'm gonna
A
tell you
lot of
how
times.
how I know that to be the truth, because look at what happened with Pat McAfee at WrestleMania.
Mm.
There's no way in
There's
hell
no reason for him to
a,
be in them.
fucking old ass wrinkly Mr. Burns is gonna go out there and beat Pat McAfee and then take the worst stunner in history. You know what I'm saying? That's ego.
It
Tony
is.
Tony Khan Tony
It,
Khan would never put himself in a situation like that.
it's ego, but damn it, that shit was funny.
Oh, it's hilarious, but it's ego.
It is. It is. Like watching that shit live, I was like, "What the
All right.
fuck is he doing?"
Hey, let me ask you a question. I want to bring this up real quick. Before we wrap, no gimmicks. Um, so I'm gonna put this to you. A couple weeks ago, Cody came back and Cody did the promo and mentioned people on there that have been champions, and he mentioned this guy right here. Can you see that?
Hulk Hogan, yeah.
Yeah. And the fans booed. And what is it here? The hatred and the disrespect for Hulk Hogan. What do you think it is?
Listen, man, I'm only going to put
And
this.
hold on before you say something. This was happening way before the sex tape and all that stuff came out. It's just
Yeah.
always been a negative connotation with Hogan. And let's start right there.
All right. So you have to think, and I'm going to compare this. I'm going to compare this to a LeBron Michael Jordan debate, right? It's just like that. It parallels it, right? Most of these kids didn't grow up in the Hulkamania era. They didn't. So all they know about Hulk Hogan is what they see or what they read. And lately, well, before that, the majority of the talk was Hogan, the whole creative control thing, right? Um, and it's not exactly positive, and most of it doesn't go back to the level of Hulk Hogan. Hulkamania was the absolute shit back then, right? A kid lived, breathed, and slept Hulk Hogan if a kid was a wrestling fan. Hulk Hogan was wrestling. A lot of these people weren't there when Hulk Hogan finally decided to become Hollywood Hogan and jump to the dark side. So they don't know the true meaning of what that shit really did for the wrestling industry, right? They know John Cena, and if a kid says John Cena is the best wrestler ever or the most popular wrestler ever, then you have to remind them that Hulk Hogan once existed, right? It's no different than the LeBron Jordan debate, right? It's who's the GOAT. And in their eyes, it's John Cena because that's what they grew up on. That's what they grew up watching. This was the guy who was loyal, hustle, loyalty, respect. That's what they live, sleep, breathe. It's no different than the Hulk Hogan fans who grew up. So when you say guys that have held the championships like Hulk Hogan, that may elicit some boos because these people weren't necessarily fans of Hulk Hogan and they didn't see that era and they don't give it its proper respect. And that's my opinion.
I can agree with that, except one thing. Cody mentioned a couple other people, and they were Shawn Michaels, I think he mentioned.
Right. Because Shawn Michaels is still prevalent around in the business.
But
Not
Shawn
saying that
Michaels came up in an era
right.
in the 90s where a lot of these people weren't watching. They weren't born.
Right. But some of these people were around for the DX era and Michaels was still active.
Okay.
Not the last DX era, not the original.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think when it comes down to Hogan, is I think that the rumors of creative control, never put anybody over, backstabbing, manipulating, has played a part into it. I think that his personal stuff has definitely tarnished his image and tarnished his legacy as far as wrestling fans go. I think that's where it all comes down to. I think that you have the core people that are Hulk Hogan diehards, Hulkamaniacs, NWOites, Hollywood, NWO fans, whatever. But I think with today's toxic fan base, the wrestling business, the wrestling fans there are very toxic.
Right.
This
is a fact.
Yeah, it's a very toxic situation. So I think that is kind of where the heat for Hogan comes from. The hatred for Hogan is just these people have no respect for anything he did, and that's too bad. I think he plays a lot of it. I think another one that's in the same context is Ric Flair.
Yeah,
I've always said Hogan said some fucked up shit. He did, but I've talked to Teddy Long, who's a good friend of mine. And Teddy told me stories about the good old boys.
I'll never forget the one conversation I had with Teddy.
Yeah,
you were there. So the shit he told me during that conversation, I was mind blown. I was like, holy shit.
So it's like
a lot of these people aren't my favorite wrestler anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like I could be down with Hogan. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mess with Flair at all. Not at all. Because I heard the stories. I don't mess with Jim Crockett. When he was telling when Teddy tells me Jim Crockett told him, and what you doing on this plane? And get off this plane. And Robert Gibson from the Rock and Roll Express riding with Teddy in the car, driving to the next town because he felt bad for him because how he was treated. So, like I said, if you want to put one guy and you don't like this guy because of what this situation here, then you got to look at the other one too. Look at Flair. For a lot of people that Flair doesn't talk to. A lot of people that don't talk to him, like the Arn Andersons that don't talk to him, or the Shawn Michaels that don't talk to him, or the Triple H's that don't talk to him. And Rick says, "Oh, I don't know why these guys don't talk to me. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're the reason why they don't talk to you." So that's my thing. I respect the Hulkster. I'm a Hogan fan. I respect the Hulkster. I'm NWO for life, brother. and that's all it is to it. I am that. I enjoyed Hollywood more than I enjoyed Hulkamania. I'll tell you that shit.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you grew up around that time frame, watching wrestling, like to see the change. At first, I hated it because I was heartbroken. But the more he became Hollywood, the more I started loving that shit.
Have you
He
watched?
was perfect.
Have you watched WWE Evil yet? The episode
Yes.
of Hollywood Hogan.
Yes.
It's probably the best one.
It's
on
probably that one and the Randy Orton episode. Randy Orton had a really good episode.
I haven't watched that one yet. I've watched a little bit of the Brothers of Destruction, but speaking of that real quick before we wrap up, no gimmicks. I mean, how can you have a show called WWE Evil and you do not have Triple H on that show, and you don't have The Rock on that show?
Listen, I think it's coming, but I mean, you probably needed way more, and they probably taped a lot of this shit when Triple H was going through his shit too. So,
yeah, probably. But they could use archival footage. I mean, a lot of the footage they used for Hogan was archival footage.
Yeah, they could, but they also had Hogan interviewing too.
Yeah, but don't tell them when those interviews were done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So,
other than that, I got nothing else, brother.
Me neither, man. So if y'all got nothing else, man, thank y'all for tuning in to the No Gimmicks podcast here on the DFPN. Tune in next time so you can get more of this wrestling talk. Tune into the website too, because these episodes will be showcased on the website. We'll try to drop those at a day after we drop them on Patreon. So we'll drop it on Patreon, drop it on the website, then drop it off to the streaming site. So
tune in. One more thing. Honestly, and it's not a joke here. Seriously, people, help control the pet population.
God
seriously.
Damn it.
Have your pet spayed or neutered. It honestly, dude, no bullshit here. Like, this is a shoot. It really irritates me when I go on these websites and I go to these animal shelters and shit, and I see all these dogs in here, all these pets in here that people don't want anymore, and they're in kill shelters and shit because the people don't want them. So, like I just said, help control the population. Have your pets spayed or fucking neutered, so then they'll be out there humping every damn thing, and going crazy and buck wild out there. That's all I got to say on it. In public, if you will.
Why do you do this shit?
Because we have to educate the listeners on these things. We have to educate the people. All right. You've had a dog in the past. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Why?
So we have to let people know these things. And besides that, we have animals here, so it's a big thing for me.
Listen to the man. Or don't, but thank y'all for tuning in to No Gimmicks.
Thank you for tuning in to No Gimmicks podcast right here on the DFPN. I am Fabulous Frankie D, along for the Black Mac. We will catch you next time here. Same No Gimmicks time, same No Gimmicks channel.
Have your pets spayed or neutered.
Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Shut the fuck up.